From New York, Ms. Rice, who is the sponsor of this important legislation.
The gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of my legislation, H.R. 1382, the Boosting Rates of American Veteran Employment Act. Mr. Speaker, I doubt there is a single member of this body who would disagree that American veterans, men and women who have stepped up to protect our country and preserve the freedom that we cherish, deserve our full support when they've completed their service. They deserve the opportunity to find a good job, to support themselves and their families. They deserve the opportunity to succeed in civilian life, to adapt their extraordinary skills, training, and experience to thrive in the civilian workforce, and to continue making a meaningful contribution to our economy. We have seen real progress adding veterans to the workforce, but we cannot be satisfied with that progress while so many men and women still struggle to find the good jobs they deserve. We cannot be satisfied when the unemployment rate among post-9/11 veterans remains higher than the national average. We cannot be satisfied if even a single American veteran who wants to work is not given the opportunity to do so, is left jobless, homeless, forgotten, and abandoned by the country he or she served. Unemployment among veterans is not only a stain on the character of our country, it is not only a dereliction of the promise we make to the people who risk their lives to protect us, it is a missed opportunity. Veterans have received the most advanced and sophisticated training that the world has to offer. They have unique skills and experience. They know how to work as members of a team. They know how to succeed in the most difficult conditions. They know how to get the job done, whatever that job may be. They received that training, they developed those skills, and gained that experience because we invested in them as service members, and we would be foolish not to double down on that investment. We would be foolish not to invest in them as veterans, invest in their potential to adapt their training and skills and experience, and use it to thrive in the civilian workforce and contribute to our economy. We need businesses in the private sector to recognize the benefit of having veterans in their workforce. We need businesses to recognize that it is in their self-interest to actively seek out and employ veterans, not as an act of charity, but because they are excellent workers who know how to get the job done and bring out the best in their fellow employees. That's why it's so important that we pass H.R. 1382. This legislation will make the kind of investment that members of both parties can be pleased to support, the kind that costs no money. The Department of Veterans Affairs is already authorized for $19 billion in total procurement and contracting spending. This legislation will simply ensure that when the Secretary of the VA is awarding those contracts, he has the authority to give preference to businesses with high concentrations of full-time veteran employees, businesses that make it a priority to actively seek out veterans and provide them with meaningful full-time employment. As has been noted, the VA can already give such preference to veteran-owned businesses, as it should. We should give that same advantage to contractors who actively invest in veterans, who recognize their value and their potential to thrive in the civilian workforce. Such companies do exist, and this legislation will reward them for their commitment to giving veterans the opportunity they have earned. But in doing so, in creating such an advantage, this legislation will also create an incentive for other contractors to do the same, to be proactive, to make it a priority, to seek out veterans who are looking for employment. And in time, I have no doubt that they'll recognize the value of investing in veterans. They'll find themselves with a more productive, efficient, and effective workforce. Mr. Speaker, I want to give special thanks to my co-lead sponsor on the other side of the aisle, Congressman Paul Cook, a combat veteran who served 26 years and retired as a colonel in the United States Marine Corps. I also think it's important to note that this bill has the support of several major veteran service organizations, including Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to express my support for another bill that I'm proud to co-sponsor, Dr. Wenstrup's legislation, H.R. 474, the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program Reauthorization Act. The HVRP provides critical support to help reintegrate homeless veterans into the workforce and address the underlying issues that so often lead to life on the streets. Services ranging from job training, job placement, and career counseling, to clothing, housing, transportation, and treatment for mental health and substance abuse disorders. This program has been successful, and passing a 5-year reauthorization will secure its future and allow state and local agencies to plan long-term programming. I thank Dr. Wenstrup for his leadership on this issue, and I urge my colleagues to give H.R. 474 their full support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back.